Going to give it a couple of seconds for, I see there are people still coming in before we get started. Are there any other people in the waiting room?
Madam Chair,
No.
we have disabled the waiting room. People will be able to come right in.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to our virtual candidates forum. My name is Bonnie Bowser, and I am the chair of the Nominations and Elections Committee. I welcome you to this candidates forum, and at this time, we'll have a prayer by our committee member, Patty Jacobs. Patty.
Good afternoon. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts, seeking your guidance as we gather to present new leadership for the National AALU. May you grant us wisdom and discernment to listen with open minds and hearts so we may make the best choice for the future of our beloved Lincoln University. Lord, as these candidates stand before us, remind them and us, no one is greater than the mission of AALU. In these uncertain times, we seek leaders of honesty, integrity, and unwavering character to uphold the legacy of the oldest, the baddest, the boldest king. Father, order our steps, direct our decisions, and let your will be done on this day. Amen. Hail, hail, Lincoln. And at this time, I bring Kim Blaney Bidden to introduce our moderator for this wonderful session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and good afternoon, alum. Our moderator for this afternoon is Ms. Renee Mintz, a 1989 graduate of Lincoln University with a double major in education and Spanish. She also holds a master's degree in urban education from Cambridge College in Massachusetts. Renee, along with being a member of the Nominations and Election Committee is the newly elected president of the AALU New York City chapter. Most importantly, Renee Mintz, after 35 years of teaching, retired in 2024. Again, introducing our retired moderator for this afternoon's forum, Ms. Renee Mintz.
Thank you. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Renee. As you heard, I'm very excited to be here to have us all participate in the 2025 Candidates Forum. How we're going to start this is I will introduce each of the candidates and they will give a 2 to 3 minute opening statement about themselves, which will include their class year, chapter affiliation, AALU membership, and their affiliation with the university. Then we will move on to the question and answer period, where the questions have already been submitted by people during the registration period. So we've taken all of the questions, kind of grouped them, synthesized them together to make sure that we have everybody represented in terms of questioning. However, if there are some questions or concerns that you have at the end, you can put them in the chat and we will look through those and answer them if nothing has been answered yet. I guess we can get started. So, welcome candidates. Our candidates for the AALU Executive Board for the 2025 period are Eric B. Coates, Bilal Hassan Key, Derek Manison, Robin Hales, Rita McCaskill, and for trustee, we have Michael Hancock, who will be joining us once the trustee board meeting is over at a later in our meeting, he'll join. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Eric B. Coates, candidate for president.
Good afternoon, Lions. Thank you very much, Renee. I greet you with warm hearts and open minds this afternoon. I am an honors graduate of the class of 1988, where I did serve at that time as president of the class. During my time after Lincoln, I am and have been a member of the Philadelphia Alumni Chapter for about the last 10 years, where I did serve as parliamentarian for 4 consecutive years. I am a life member of the AALU. I've been a life member for about 15 years. And most recently, I am and have served as the membership chair of the AALU. I was fortunate enough to establish the annual Life Membership Champagne Reception, where we acknowledge new life members for their financial contributions and their new alumni status. I am interested in serving as president of the AALU to grow the organization and to enhance the benefits to its members, but more importantly, to make a significant impact to the university and the students that we serve and support. I believe that this can be accomplished by having an effective, cohesive, and willing alumni who are committed to making a difference, like those who are a part of the 2025 Slate of Excellence: Derek Manison, Robin Hales, and Rita McCaskill. As a president, I believe it is very important to establish and develop a group of individuals and work with a group of individuals who are committed to the mission of the AALU. I believe that this reduces the probability of having different ideologies and beliefs about how the organization should be governed. The AALU has already weathered enough storms. It is time for us to move forward and to excel. So like our backgrounds say, we are doing this for the love of Lincoln University. I thank you for the opportunity, and I look forward to the rest of this session.
Thank you, Eric. I forgot to mention in my opening statement that your responses should be limited to between 2 and 3 minutes. We have a timekeeper that you didn't go over the time, but just going forward so that everybody knows that your responses should go no longer than 2.5 minutes, and a timekeeper will let you know if you're running over. Thank you, Eric. You did great. Our next person running for vice president in alphabetical order is going to be Bilal Hassan Key. Bilal?
Good afternoon, AALU, Lincoln family. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with you all this afternoon. My name is Bilal Hassan Key. I am a proud graduate of Lincoln University, class of 2014 from Queens, New York. I been a member of the Lincoln University New York Metro chapter since its inception, since 2015, upon graduation. I've also been a member of the AALU since that same time as well, 2015. My leadership in terms of the involvement in terms of the AALU, been an active member in it, served recently as the president of the New York Alumni Metro chapter since 2021, and we look forward to serving the community of Lincoln University, its students, its alumni, and the institution as your next vice president. I believe that the voices of all need to be heard. I believe that we can do this work together. I believe in teamwork and team building, and willing to support the executive board and the mission of AALU, to which serves the body of Lincoln University, the body of the students, and the body of the alumni. And I believe that we, as alums, can succeed in raising the bar in terms of our communication, raising the bar in terms of involving all stakeholders as much as possible in the institution. And I believe that the students come first, and their needs and their concerns, and their voices should be heard. And our alums should be heard, their voices and their concerns and their ideas. And we should be all working together to create a cohesive body that works together to raise Lincoln from its rank to #1 on the rankings. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Also running for vice president, we have Mr. Derek Manison. Derek?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My name is Derek Manison. I am a member of the class of '88. I hail from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. During my time at Lincoln, I was a business major, and I currently am a member of the Philadelphia chapter. I've been a member of that chapter for about 10 years. I've been a lifetime member of the AALU for 10 years. I am committed to use my professional knowledge and skills to help enhance the AALU, to help move it forward. Want to make sure that we execute our ideas, not just have ideas. I just want to make sure we execute them as best that we can to move the AALU forward. Want to make sure that we engage alums and highlight their gifts so we can use those for the benefit of Lincoln. As you know, we're all volunteers, so we just want to make sure that we're using all of the alums' gifts and just making sure that no one is overlooked, and everybody who wants to contribute to Lincoln and move the AALU forward, that they have the opportunity to do that. I think we should actually scale our focus, or have focus on 2 or 3 items and scale those items as opposed to having 10 items. Just focus on those things like alumni engagement, fundraising, and building on that wonderful Lincoln legacy that we have, to gain momentum and share our success with the alums. I mean, because when the alums see the organization moving forward, we can continue to increase our membership, because we are a membership organization. And that's the best way of moving an organization forward, by having more members, so it's not falling on just a few members. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to the rest of the program.
Thank you. I didn't know you were from Pittsburgh. Okay. For the position of secretary, we have Robin Hales.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Madam President. Good afternoon, Executive Council. and general body. Thank you for this opportunity as I seek the position of secretary on the 2025 slate of excellence, where we seek to optimize the experience of the alumni membership, build an inclusive and engaged and empower volunteer network, and ensure stewardship of the AALU of PA resources. I seek to be a facilitator of accurate and regular communication, which will stimulate engagement. I am a member of the class of 1989, a proud graduate of the class of 1989. I am a charter member of the Delaware chapter and a recent member of the Philadelphia chapter. I serve as your second parliamentarian of the National AALU of PA. I am your current co-chair of the 2025 AALU Golf Tournament, which I have served in a volunteer capacity for the last 4 years. And I'm happy to also indicate that I've also brought to you the celebrity co-guest chair, Jim Thorpe. Again, I seek in the position of secretary to ensure the continuous communication of information as it relates to our dear Lincoln and as it relates to our alumni association so that we can stimulate membership. This is a membership organization and facilitate engagement. Thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, we have for the position of treasurer, Rita McCaskill.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Good afternoon, Lincoln University family, friends, alums, and all alike. My name is Rita McCaskill. I am a proud member of the graduating class of 1991. I originally hail from New York, but I currently live in California, Maryland, and yes, it does exist. I have been a member of the AALU, a life member for approximately 11 years, 10 years as a member of DC Metro Alumni Chapter. I've been affiliated with the university. It's been about the past 6 years, serving as the previous treasurer, currently the finance chair, and a key member of the golf committee. I am interested in serving as treasurer of the AALU again to help grow the organization and enhance the benefits of members, but more importantly, to make a significant impact upon the university we serve and support. My love for Lincoln, I would say the work that I have been a part of since
Rita, your sound is going in and out. It's giving me a headache. You think you can adjust something so we can have continual sound? Because the sound is fluctuating quite a bit.
Oh, okay. I'll how about if I speak a little slower? Maybe that'll help.
No, it's the sound. So, I mean, is it just me? It's just my computer. Nobody else hears it?
No, I hear it.
Speak closer to your mic.
Okay. Okay, well, I'll pick up from where the work that I have been a part of since 2014. Is it still bad? Second. How about now?
That's better.
Okay. Okay, the work that I've been a part of since 2014 with AALU in support of the university is to reestablish confidence in the financial status of AALU, which is the first step in changing the narrative and legacy and leaving a legacy, along with working with alumni relations. I have a particular interest in ensuring that the financial status of the organization remains stable and enabling the confidence of alums to continue to join and come out and be a part of the association. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. Okay, so we are now at the question and answer portion of this meeting. Like I said, we have gathered pretty much all of the questions that people have submitted. Some of the questions might seem redundant. So if you've already answered the question as you hear it, it's okay to kind of reiterate what it is that you said. That's important. But I'm trying to ask them so that it doesn't feel like, oh my God, I already said this, okay? Because some of the things I'm noticing that you've already said that are part of my questions, but I'm gonna go in pretty much the order that I have them. Is that okay with everyone so far? Okay.
Yes.
So our first question is for the group at large. The same order that I gave you, Eric, Bilal, Derek, Robin, Rita, just to maintain consistency. When I ask a group question, is kind of how I'd like for you to respond to them instead of just jumping in over each other. Okay? So the first question is, what motivated you to run for this position, and what specific competencies, skills, and past experiences make you uniquely qualified to fulfill the responsibilities of the role you seek?
So I want to serve as president because of the foundation, one, that has been laid by the current administration. I did express that over probably about 2 years ago because I saw the level of growth that the organization was making, and I wanted to ensure that we continued in that vein. When you ask about competencies, I will share most of my competencies as it relates to my professional experience. I am a superintendent of a school district. I oversee about 6,000 employees. I've also served as a superintendent of a much larger school district where I oversaw over 20,000 employees and more than 50,000 students. In those roles, I had to utilize my servant leadership skills to one, understanding and working with different skill sets and different people. Through that experience and through those experiences, I have definitely learned that it is not about me as the individual. It is about me working collaboratively with a team of people to get the job done. That is how I will approach my work as president. It is about the love of Lincoln. It is not about Eric B. Coates. It is about the slate of excellence moving forward with the plan that we have to move the university forward. Some of the skills I have, I'm very strategic. I am a planner. Given that, I've already outlined our calendar of activities for 25-26 based upon past experience. That will be something that the team will begin to review with presidents and other members of the organization so that when July 1 starts, we're ready to move our program of work forward. I am about the business of getting things done, and that's what we're going to do in the AALU. So those are some of the things that I would highlight. I would also share with you that one thing that is very, very important to me is the work that we've done thus far working with Lincoln and the MOU. It is not a final product, but significant work has been done with the development of that. I've been a part of that. And I want to ensure that the areas of focus within that MOU are carried through. I think it's very important for us to have consistency of purpose from one administration to the next. Thank you.
That was the timer for anybody who was curious.
That music?
I was
That
wondering what that
that
was.
that
I
little
thought
beat.
it was like a, oh, I thought it
Yeah,
was a
no,
moment.
that little beat was the timer.
Okay, I'm just gonna restate the question one more time, just so that we're clear. What motivated you to run for this position, and what specific competencies, skills, and past experiences make you uniquely qualified to fulfill the responsibilities of the role you seek? And just for posterity, We really only have Derek and Bilal running against each other. So Bilal, you're going to go first.
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mintz, for that. My reason why I ran was because of my love and appreciation for Lincoln University and what it did for me, and helping to shape and mold me into the young man that I am today. That's number one. And then number two, continue to service the alumni and the students. I would like to work with all of the stakeholders, help make Lincoln continue to be great and continue to make it better than our experiences at Lincoln, and to heighten those experiences for the students and for the alumni and for the institution. Some of my competencies, as I said before, recent past president for the New York Lincoln Metro chapter, in continuing its viability. You know, at one point, the viability of our organization, of this chapter in particular, went a little low because of COVID and some other factors. However, we were able to increase our visibility and the vitality of the organization to compete and be known in the New York City tri-state area. So whenever Lincoln is mentioned, the New York Metro chapter has been there. We have done the college fairs plenty. We have instituted back the gala, the Alumni Awards and Gala, which we are happy to report that we helped to zero off a student's balance this year from New York, and also make a contribution to our endowment, a $100,000 endowment that we're still raising money for. And I currently am the director of mentoring for an organization here in South Jamaica, Queens, mentoring young males and females to prepare them for college and prepare them for this role. And I continue to be part of the Lincoln University fabric, and I would like to continue that level of communication and responsibility to the National AALU and the Lincoln community as your next vice president. Thank you.
Thank you, Bilal. Derek, same question.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. As far as competencies, I would say my professional background as a vice president of reinsurance services for a major insurance company has allowed me to manage large teams and smaller teams, be a part of an organization that was responsible for $1 billion in assets for the organization that I actually led. Those skills that I was able to implement to help achieve that goal by being strategic and actually just executing on our goals and objectives that we had in order to make sure that we reached our goals and objectives by being a leader, fostering a workforce to achieve those goals, being flexible, but being able to lead a team, to make sure that everybody understands what the goal is, the objective of the organization, despite where you come from. These are our goals and objectives, and we're one team in order to achieve a goal. The ways we go about those things may be different, but ultimately we know what the objective is, just keeping people focused on the goal so we can achieve and execute our goals and objectives, from whether it's increasing membership, whether it's continuing to move forward with all those goals and objectives. And when I was working for Lincoln, when I say work for Lincoln, volunteering for Lincoln, I'm always there supporting Lincoln from a perspective of sharing my tools and objectives. I did a financial literacy workshop for a group of students where
Down to
we
your last
actually,
few seconds, Derek.
okay, a group of students. So I think those objectives and those goals are very helpful in moving the organization forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Derek. Robin?
Good afternoon again. I seek to complement the great job, the great foundation that we already experience with facilitating face-to-face, hybrid, and virtual meetings. Whether we're using our current Zoom platform or we're exploring another platform. I seek to facilitate the exchange of information between our executive committee, our executive council, and our general body, and always include potential members. I seek to support education sessions so that we understand how to exploit the features of the platforms that we use, including Wild Apricot. And to complement what we already experience, well-run meetings with concise agendas, adherence to meeting timeframes, accurate note-taking, and memorialization of outcomes, and any follow-up that may be necessary. I derive my experience from my 37 years of employment with the Social Security Administration. I've held positions from operations technicians in our local field offices to my current position as the training manager for the Philadelphia region, which includes Pennsylvania, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, and the District of Columbia. Within those 37 years, I've also held the position for 10 years as an executive assistant, where I have facilitated meetings, supported senior leadership in capturing notes, memorializing those notes, ensuring that action items are followed through, ensuring that objectives align with operational procedures. So I feel that I'm uniquely qualified to step in the shoes of our current secretary to support us with the exchange of information, the building and accurate maintenance of our membership directory, and also to continue with building a volunteer platform. Thank you.
Thank you. And then finally, Rita, same question, please.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm looking to continue the good work that was started around 2018 by my classmate in restoring respectability to the organization's financial status. How I can do that is 25 plus years of government, 17 years with Department of Budget, 8 years with Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration as a budget formulist, 2 years working as a contract payment processor. And I am also a 20-year retired Army paralegal, Army Reserve veteran. Teamwork, integrity, inclusivity, and transparency was and remains the key ingredients in accomplishing the mission of any organization that I am a member of. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. I'm going to suggest for the next question, I'm going to give you some time. For the next question, why don't you try getting on with your phone, using your phone audio, and see if that works out better, because it's still going in and out, okay? So I'll just save your question till a little bit later. Thank you, everybody. And that was just question 1. Let's move on. This question is again for everybody. How long have you been actively involved in your current AALU local chapter? And give us 3 events that you have organized or co-organized at your local chapter. Eric.
Good
Thank you. I have been involved with the Philadelphia Alumni Chapter for at least the last 9 years. Events that I have helped to organize or co-organize. I have participated and helped to organize the Frank Tick Coleman Awards. And that has been not only for 1 year, that has been for multiple years. Serving on the executive committee of that chapter, my voice definitely was a part of the planning of just the continuance of the organization in all aspects. And so that's what I would share for that particular response or that question.
Was that 3?
That
Just-
would
I asked for 3. That was just 1, or was that more than 1?
Frank Tick Coleman Award is an annual event, and so every year I've participated and helped with that event being a part of it. So the Frank Tick Coleman Award for 2024, the Frank Tick Coleman Award for 2023, and the Frank Tick Coleman Award for 2022.
Right, because the question didn't come, it didn't say 3 different events, but okay, got you. Bilal, how long have you been actively involved in your current local AALU chapter? And give us 3 events that you have organized or co-organized.
Thank you, Ms. Mintz, for the question. I've been active in the New York Metro chapter since my graduation in 2014. Big part of the planning and the execution of the Alumni Awards and Gala, which was going on in the chapter, and reinstated it back underneath my presidency. We also did, for the first time, our coat drive last year, which I was part of, organizing and supporting one of the young alums who introduced the idea to us, and we supported her in that effort and by partnering with a church in Harlem. And also we participated in the sponsorship of a group of young students from the Eagle Academy of Harlem and Thurgood Marshall Academy, also in Harlem, a group of young men who came up last open house and got accepted to Lincoln with over $500,000 worth of merit scholarships. We were part of being a fiscal sponsor, working with that not-for-profit out of Brooklyn to provide access and opportunity for those young men. Thank you.
Derek, same question.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Yes, so I've been a member of the Philadelphia chapter for about 10 years. And I chaired the membership committee, where my committee that I chaired, we came up with the logo for our chapter. And that logo has been a really good success for the chapter. We've been able to fundraise off that logo, and it's been a centerpiece for our major fundraiser, which is the Frank Tick Coleman Award Ceremony. So you will see that logo prominently displayed on the awards that are given each year for the Frank Tick Coleman Awards event. And I also participate on the with the coat drive for the local school. There's 2 schools that the chapter actually gets involved with, and I actually help out with that event when possible. So those are the events that I actually help out on the local chapter on a consistent basis.
Thank you so much. Robin?
Good afternoon again. As a charter member of the Delaware chapter, I have participated as the national representative. I have shared in 2023, 2024, as we were just beginning in 2022, the Delaware voter registration organized training schedule to stimulate voter registration and participation in that process. So I've done that each year since we started as a chapter.
Thank you. And Rita?
Yes, I've been a financial member of DC Metro chapter for the last 10 years. The last 8 years, I served as the chapter representative for the DC HBCU Alliance, where we support all events, including their signature fundraiser events, which is the 5K Run Walk and the annual gala, which raises scholarship money for students attending local HBCUs. And I also have supported the DC Metro Cubs event, which has been held in July and or August each year to support incoming freshmen.
Thank you, and the sound is much better. Okay, now we'll transition from what you've done locally to national. How long have you been a member of the national AALU? And please indicate if you're a life member or not. What motivated you to join, and how have you contributed to the organization overall? How long have you been a member of the Nationals? Please indicate if you're a life member. What motivated you to join, and how have you contributed to the organization?
I have been a life member for at least 15 years of the AALU. What motivated me to become more active in the AALU was when I realized that my classmate was going to be assuming the role as president. I specifically reached out to her and I said, I want to support you in your administration. Let me know how I can help. 4 years later, I'm still serving as the membership chairman of the AALU, and I am very, very glad that I am an active member of the AALU. Contributions, I tirelessly work toward ensuring that our membership database is accurate. I work with members on issues related to their membership in conjunction with the finance team. I believe I stated this earlier, but I'll state it again. I have also established the Life Membership Champagne Reception, which has, I believe, occurred for the last 3 years. And from all accounts, that is a successful event that members do appreciate being a part of, and it's open to all members of the AALU. Thank you.
Thank you. Bilal?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mintz, for the question. I've been a member of the National AALU just about the same time as I became a member of the local chapter here in New York. What made me join the National AAU was to continue to help the organization on a national level advance its goals. One of the ways that I have participated in the National AAU is, supporting the golf tournament that has happened as a chapter. We have supported the golf tournament since its inception. I also am active with talking with the admissions and representing the chapters in our conversations with admissions, especially when it came to tabling materials and just making sure we were on the same page in terms of getting communication from the admissions team about the direction that they were moving towards under the previous administration that was there. And I continue to help out as much as I can with the National AAU when I can. It's about our time, our talent, our treasure, and I believe that if we can give one or the other or all three, that is what I've been about. Thank you.
Thank you. Derek?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I have been a member of the national organization for a little over 10 years, and I've been a life member for 10 years. I have supported many endeavors for the national organization. Specifically, I've participated in every golf outing that we had, besides one, since its inception. And I cherish that moment, and I've actually recruited folks to participate in that event as well. So that is a major event that I think everyone should try to support if they can. And I also participate from a national perspective. It's the freshman move-in event that takes place on campus every year. I've done that for a number of years. It's been well over at least 3-4 years that I've participated in that, probably more that I participate in that. And that's a really wonderful event to help get to know some of the parents and the young students that are joining our Lincoln family. So it is a real good extension of the national organization and the local. So those are the main events that activities that I participate in on the national level.
Thank you. Robin?
Thank you. My initial interest in participating on the national level certainly stems from being asked. As we grow older, we realize that we have two hands, or we always know that we have two, but we realize that we have two hands for specific purposes, one that help ourselves and one that help others. So I'm a firm believer in helping others and pulling others along, stimulating again, growth in this membership organization. So when I was asked to serve and support, I certainly stepped up and said yes to that invitation. On the national level, as I indicated earlier, I've been involved in the golf tournament, our AALU signature event, for the last 4 years. I have happily supported our event with a number of activities, including sponsorship, seeking to stimulate the fundraising effort to support the contribution to Lincoln University, and wherever needed during that day, during the run of that day, simply rolling up my sleeves and jumping in, and certainly by supporting, by bringing a living legacy in Jim Thorpe to again stimulate interest in that event and to generate funds.
Thank you. And Rita?
Yes, I have been a life member of the National Alumni Association of Lincoln University for 11 years. My motivation to serve actually came upon one of my classmates who encouraged me to volunteer for the alumni summits, where I help with registrations, registration, as well as there were some times where I actually made some beds up for folks as well. My contributions were reestablishing confidence in the financial status of AALU, created the yearly budget framework for the organization. I've also served as the financial lead on the golf tournament and have personally sponsored some items that were provided to the participants during the golf tournament as well.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm just going to mix it up now so that we can just hear specific questions for specific people. And I'm going to go ahead and start with you, Rita, as you're running for treasurer of the 2025 slate. And we're so appreciative of your dedication over the past many years. Can you describe your process for how you prioritize and do not overlook important tasks?
Well, I first would start with my calendar, personal, work, and AALU. And based upon the dates of what I have coming up, sometimes if it is hot items that are needed for AALU, I will take the time, no matter how long I end up staying up, I would process those items immediately, especially sensitive items when it comes to individuals who need to be reimbursed, because what I know and understand is that everybody's financial situation is different. So it's always best to make sure you take care of those financial items as quickly as possible.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna jump over to the candidates for vice president. And Derek, I'm going to start with you. Can you name one function of the vice president role that is most important and name one quality that you bring to that function?
The one function that I think is key is to support the president in executing his vision or her vision, the office's vision. You really have to be on one accord in order to move any organization forward. So I would say to support the president in executing those goals and objectives by making sure that whatever actions needed to take place to achieve those goals are actually achieved. Planning, making sure that we have a full team, an equipped team to move the organization forward. So supporting the president in their goal to move the organization forward, I think is actually key for the vice president, and making sure that you're up to date with his activities, so that you can step in his or her absence. So that's my one big peeve, is just supporting the president in their vision for the organization.
Thank you. Bilal, name one function of the vice president role that is most important and name one quality that you bring to that function.
Thank you, Ms. Mintz. Definitely, without a doubt, is supporting the vision of the president and also being able to take on tasks that he or she delegates to the vice president role to work as a team in that regard. And then additionally to that, the optimizing our engagement and communication with the chapters. Our previous vice or current vice president done an excellent job in making sure the chapters are involved in the communication of their activities and what's going on with the national AALU. So continuing to foster communication. Currently, I've been active in the communication area with the chapters in regards, as mentioned before, working specifically with admissions and making sure that the chapters are aware of what's going on with the transition and with the materials that we need to get. So just communicating with the chapters of what nationals got going on, and getting their support and making sure everyone's aware.
Thanks so much. So those responses make me want to now speak to you, Eric. What role, thinking of your vice presidents now, we have two people that are running. Of course, one will win and one will not, right? So what role will you put the winning candidate in to help capitalize on his strengths? And how are you going to engage the losing candidate?
So I'll first start off by saying that I don't believe either candidate will be a loser, because both candidates bring strength and skills to the role of vice president. That's the first thing I just want to be very, very clear with. I believe that the vice president role is stipulated in the bylaws. And so I'm going to follow what the bylaws have outlined. The areas that are not dictated within the bylaws, the other candidate would be able to definitely assist us in being in charge of various committees. The president has a responsibility for assigning the programs committee chair, the membership committee chair. So the other candidate could definitely take on, from my perspective, one of those roles, because I want both of these gentlemen to have an active role in the AALU, because they've already expressed their interest and their desire to support the organization. And so that is my main goal. How do all of us work collaboratively together to move the organization forward?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And Robin, Name one function, no. Yeah, let's do that one. Name one function of the secretary role that is most important and name one quality that you bring to that function.
One of the functions that is most important is really disseminating information about the benefits of membership. Again, this is a membership-driven organization. Without the members, we don't exist. So we rely on the talent, we rely on the time of all of our members and potential members, and identifying very early on from freshman year on through graduation that those are candidates for potential membership and facilitating that transition, stimulating that growth into a member of the AALU PA. In terms of qualities that I bring to the desire to see that actually happen, the desire to see membership grow, stimulate the membership, is my ability to discern, my ability to attract through communication interest in becoming registered members. My ability to actually disseminate information, my ability to promote the organization, and the benefits of being a part of this professional network, the benefits of capitalizing on lifelong relationships.
Thank you. Okay. This can be for everyone. As an officer of the AALU, you are considered a leader in our alumni community and on the board. Therefore, we would expect you to go above and beyond to have harmonious relationship with everyone. How do you handle situations of conflict amongst your fellow alums? I'm going to ask Robin to answer that one first.
Sure. I am a direct person. I am a person who likes to talk, not form coalitions to support a position, but to look at the interest of all, to look at the issues, and to speak specifically, directly to the issues, to the individuals, and not form coalitions to support a certain position. I think we need to move away from positioning and look at common interests so that we can reach common consensus in order to eliminate or de-escalate conflict.
Thank you. Rita, I'd like to popcorn that over to you as well. As an officer, you're considered a leader in our alumni community and on the board. We would expect you to go above and beyond to have harmonious relationship with everyone. How do you handle situations of conflict amongst your fellow alums?
Well, first I would like to echo what Robin stated, because what I have seen in the past in my previous roles within the organization is that sometimes some alums may have difficulty having a dialogue with an individual, especially if the individual is a member of D9. I have looked at the situation where, although I am not a member of a D9 organization, I look at it as we are all still people first, and that we should always be able to listen and talk to one another, regardless of what affiliation we may or may not have. And that is how I've actually dealt with everything in my life, even during my military career. It didn't matter what that individual's rank was, as long as I spoke with the individual respectfully and got my point across, we were able to move past it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna popcorn to Bilal.
Yes, I believe that it is important to ascertain the facts, and not to embarrass no one and put no one on the spot. I think that's important that we get the facts of any situation correct and ascertain that right away, before making dangerous assumptions and dangerous rumors that can damage the probity and the reputation and integrity of National AALU and also just of the university in general. Myself, I pride myself in being a person who's upfront, a person who's respectful to others, and who would like that back in return. I think the golden rule is what you want others to do unto you as you do unto others. And that's something that I strive to live by when faced with conflict, is approaching it from a systematic way of ascertaining the facts. Can we get a private meeting? Can we not talk on social media and just put it out on social media? That's just, all those things look really bad, for not just us here, but for the university as well. So if we can get a private meeting to talk about it, let's air it out, and let's do it in a respectful way.
Thank you. Eric?
So the first thing I would do is reach out to the individual where the conflict may exist. I do want to share that I believe conflict is a normal occurrence. However, we operate as a democracy within the AALU, and that's the way I would want us to operate. But while I'm reaching out, one of the first things I'm going to do as president is that I'm going to listen to what the person has to say. And while I'm listening, that means that my mouth is shut, because I need to understand what the issue really is. And then I'm going to ask them, are there some suggested ways in which we can resolve this? And then we will talk about, and then I will share what would be some logical next steps given what you shared with me. And so that is the way that I would want to operate, and that is the way that I would want to approach the situation. And similarly to what others have shared, it's not going to be about us going around sharing the information. I think our goal should be to address it, come up with a way to move forward, and then move forward. But we have to do that with respect, with dignity, and do it in a democratic way. And if it's something that I cannot resolve by myself, then it would come to the executive committee. If there's a vote or something of that nature that needs to be taken, then that would be how we would move forward with a particular issue. But that's my approach.
Thank you. And Derek?
Thank you, Renee, for this opportunity. With respects to conflict is can be addressed, as everyone has articulated. You do have to listen. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. No one's opinion is wrong. It's just their opinion. And you just have to take it all in and just be respectful in how you actually respond. As Eric indicated, this is a democratic organization. We vote on things. Just because you're the president or vice president or the chairperson of a committee, it's just because you're the chairperson. It's not your role to just roll over people. Just take it all in, understand their perspective, and let's vote on it. Let's get a consensus as to which way we should actually go. If there is some conflict as to what direction we should be going, just making sure that we understand and appreciate one another's opinion. I think that's how you best deal with conflict. Just respecting one another's opinion, and understanding that no one person's opinion is wrong, or one person's opinion is right. It's just their opinion. and just let's move the organization forward. Let's address the issue by being adults about it. And therefore, we can move the organization forward. We can address the issue. And that's my honest belief that, just being honest and forthright and just responding and respecting other people's opinions.
Thank you. So thank you. I've been notified that Trustee Hancock is among us. Thank you. I see you, Mike. You're driving, so please be safe out there. My name is Renee Mintz. I'm the moderator for this candidates forum. You're joining about an hour late, but pretty much you kind of heard what people already had to say in other settings. What I'd like to do at this time is give you 2 to 3 minutes to introduce yourself by giving us an opening statement about yourself, which will include your class year, your AALU chapter affiliation, your AALU membership affiliation, and your basic affiliation with the university. You got 2 to 3 minutes to let us know about you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael J. Hancock. I am class of 1988. I am just leaving the campus of Lincoln University as our board meeting ended at 1:54 p.m. today. I am a life member of the AALU. I am a member of the DC MAC chapter, and I am an alumni trustee, and this is my 4th year as an alumni trustee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me just catch you up on some of the questions. We don't want to spotlight you, but you're here now, so let's ask you the questions. What motivated you to run for the position of alumni trustee, and what competencies, skills, and past experiences have you made you uniquely qualified to fulfill the responsibilities?
So I chose to run for an alumni trustee because I felt that the alumni's voice definitely needed to be heard amongst the board of trustees. My past experiences having led a number of organizations as board members, having been presidents of a number of civic organizations, and having the business acumen of an auditor, an accountant, a financial person, a person that manages risk in an everyday environment. I felt that some of those key skills were missing from the board of trustees, and that I felt that I would be able to bring those skills to the board. I currently sit on the audit committee, and I also sit on the business affairs committee. Critical to ensuring that Lincoln spends their funds appropriately. We manage our business, because education is a business, appropriately, and by serving on the audit committee to ensure that we are acting in accordance with policies and procedures, financial stewardship, and those are the reasons why I wanted to join the board. I believe that in a second term, I have the ability to further influence a number of committees on the board and to continue the great work that the board has done over the last 3 years.
Okay, thank you. Again, I'm going to throw the question to Trustee Hancock. What specific promises of your campaign platform did you achieve in your past term?
So my key promise is transparency. And so while I was the trustee that developed our report back to the Alumni Association, ensuring that it was done timely. So those reports are done 30 days within every board meeting. We had no transparency from trustees to the Alumni Association. They did not report back. We didn't know what committees they served on. We didn't know anything about the board activities. So that was a key activity that I ran on, and that's something that actually takes place to this day.
Nice. Okay, and then this last question for you at this time will bring you kind of with what everybody else is up to. As an alumni trustee, you're considered a leader in our alumni community and on the board. Therefore, we would expect you to go above and beyond to have harmonious relationship with everyone. How do you handle situations of conflict amongst your fellow alums?
So I think that conflict amongst any alum can be handled in a variety of situations. I think that each person involved in a conflict environment needs to understand that just because you as an individual may hold a position, may feel that your conflict issue is one and above others, I think you need to step back and really assess the situation. And there are various ways of assessing the situation. Oftentimes, sometimes you need to sit back and say nothing, observe the situation, and then when the time is appropriate, to address the situation as warranted.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So everyone answered that same question. You came in kind of on the tail end of how people responded. Okay, so one thing that everybody mentioned at one time or another in this forum is about the golf tournament. The next question is for everyone. And the first part of the question is, will you continue the golf tournament? And what other ways do you have in mind to raise funds for Lincoln? Let's start with Bilal this time.
Thank you, Madam President. I strongly am in favor of continue to support the golf outing. And with the executive board's vote, I think that's a no-brainer. I would think that was a no-brainer for us to continue doing the golf outing, noting that it has been successful over these past few years. So that's my answer to that part of the question. In terms of the second part of the question, I believe that one of the things that we need to, as a team, look at is how we establish the 4 touch points or several touch points when we engaged our alumni base in talking about donations. If we're only coming to them once a year, that's not sufficient enough. And if we are not exercising the relationships that we have within our networks and within our classes and within our organizations and et cetera, about, hey, it's time to give, but not just coming to them once a year. I would like to explore how we could possibly adopt more ways of how to engage alumni more in terms of the organization and what National AALU is about. I believe that, again, asking one time or once a year or just come popping up and just asking people for money is not sufficient. It's good, but it hasn't carried us forward. I think that one of the other avenues we need to explore as well is strategic partnerships and finding other ways to gain money. And looking at some of our corporate sponsors that have given to the university already and see how we can exercise those and exploring other opportunities that's out there for other corporate sponsors to come in and give us and make a donation.
Thank you. Rita? What other ways do you have in mind to raise funds for Lincoln?
Number one, yes, I would still work with as far as keeping the golf tournament going, because it has been our highest signature event to raise money for Lincoln University, because not only does it raise funds, individuals have fun, and I actually see it as another means of interacting with alum, especially outside of homecoming. What I would actually suggest is to expound more on the golf tournament, where we could actually institute maybe like a suggestion box at the end of the event to solicit information from those alums who are golfers or who aren't golfers, who, you know, will want to incorporate something else while the golfers are out actually playing, then those who may just only pay to come have lunch, we can come up with new ideas for folks who will be sitting waiting for the golfers to come back in. So that way everyone is actively engaged and we keep the camaraderie going forward.
Thank you. Robin?
Yes, I would be in favor of continuing the golf tournament, enhancing it in a number of ways. Also, leveraging some of the relationships if it's in the interest of the university with some of the sponsors. For example, one of the sponsors, previous sponsors for the golf tournament had an interest in developing more of a relationship with Lincoln University. So exploring whether that is an actual interest of the university in expanding and developing or even initiating a relationship with this particular business. To generate funds, to generate support for the students in terms of internships. And again, just to facilitate that business relationship and to see how far it can go in developing support for the students. I would also like to explore more opportunities for the national leg of this organization and our local chapters to engage in activities, a rotation of events, so that we get a flavor of New York, we get a flavor of Maryland, we get a flavor of Virginia, and events that support and facilitate raising funds.
Okay. Trustee Hancock?
I think that the support of the golf tournament has been great thus far for the last 3-4 years. And if the new administration would choose to do that activity, I would then again support it as I've done over the last few years. But I also think that there needs to be additional fundraising activities that are inclusive of people who just don't golf, and to explore opportunities to do things in various cities, which would be a great idea to incorporate some non-AALU members, that they would be able to come out and to support some other fundraising activities and to join the AALU. Because we have thousands of members out there that have not decided to join either our local chapter and or nationals.
Okay, thank you. Eric?
Thank you. I do agree with the concept of the golf tournament or outing. I also believe that we need to spend some time doing a thorough evaluation of its success by various measures. The Slate of Excellence has had conversations about other ways in which we can raise some funds. One thing that I would like to put forth is a president's reception. I'm not going to give you all the details now because that's something that we have to look forward to. The second thing is a day on the harbor. A third item is AALU on the move. A fourth thing would be LU Love events. A fifth thing would be the silent party. And another event would be Homecoming House. Stay tuned. That's what I'll say to you.
I like the sound of that.
Me too.
Derek, I hope your answer is just as strong. Derek?
Yes, thank you. And I agree with all the candidates that the golf outing is a worthy cause to continue exploring. Actually, I think that one thing we should consider is actually expounding on that in terms of just for being a day event, make it a whole weekend full of events. And I think we make it more participation and may be able to raise more funds if we expound on it and make it, an entire weekend worth of activities. That's worth exploring, and we can, engage the alums and get some feedback whether or not that's a viable option or not. And also, I think we should have a national gala where we're actually where the national AALU sponsors a gala and getting support from all the chapters for an evening out that an evening of elegance for all of us to participate in, and just making sure that each chapter get a chance to either participate or sponsor that event. That's something that I think would be helpful as well. And also, when we talk about fundraising and asking for donations, whether it's from alums or our corporate sponsors, it's all about relationships. You got to develop relationships and not just ask people for money. And when you engage them, you're just asking for money. That's usually why a lot of alums get turned off. You got to engage them all the time on a consistent basis, making sure that you're engaged with them. So when you approach them about their annual contribution or their semi-annual or monthly contribution, that they're more receptive. Just don't hit them over the head with money or with requests for money. You have to engage them continuously all the time and keeping them informed as to what you're doing. That's the best way of actually approaching that. And so with that, the one of the items with our sponsors, I think, especially banks, if we can
few seconds, Derek.
Okay, we can get sponsorships for bank and hopefully get the logo on a credit card. That would be, a bank would be receptive to that.
Thank you. This question is for Trustee Hancock, since you brought up corporate sponsorships and things of that nature. Mike, what type?
Madam Moderator, I'm sorry. I think we've lost him.
Okay. Okay, well then I'll do the follow-up for Derek then. Okay, totally different question, so scratch that out. So you did talk about corporate sponsorships, but you also talked about, how you approach people and develop the relationships, right? What would you do in your role to get different alums than we have seen serving in the past to be more active, to serve in an officer position perhaps, or even join a committee? What does that look like?
Yeah, it looks like just expanding on having success. So once we have success in just sharing that success on whether it's membership, just sharing what we're actually doing, that usually gets alums interested. That's the first thing. You got to get them interested. So you've got to share your successes, and you have to start from bridging the gap between our older alums from all the way back to the 60s to the current alums of 24. You got to make sure that you share with them what the benefits are of being a member, understanding that, hey, none of us got where we are today without help of some alums. So you always got to just make sure that we're sharing that common goal of moving Lincoln forward. So that's why I think we can bring in new alums that are currently engaged by sharing our successes as an organization. So being more vocal about what we're actually doing with the golf outing. There's other ways of reaching folks. It's just saying, hey, we got to have a consistent source of revenue. And if we're actually engaging alums on different avenues, whether it's the local chapters, sharing information, that's how we do that. That's how we obtain new members and engaging members who aren't involved right now.
Thank you. The same question for you, Bilal. What would you do in your role to get different alums than we have seen serving in the past to be more active, serve in an officer position perhaps, or even join committees?
Yes, thank you, Ms. Mintz, for the question. One of the avenues that we could explore is the promotion of the affinity group concept that was established or that's been established by the current administration. And what we mean by that is that everyone at Lincoln had a particular interest. Some were part of the laser program. Some joined Ziana, which is the oldest non-Greek organization on campus. Some were played sports or whatever have you. There's a lot of different interests that alums had when they were at Lincoln. And I think the promotion of the affinity groups will help gain that interest about the National AALU, which we can explain to them about what is the National AALU, because there's some folks who don't, that I've come across with, they just generally don't know what is the National AALU and what we do. And I think the affinity group would be a great way to engage all alums in their interests.
Thank you. And you've educated me. I need to find out, is Ziana there longer than PSU? I'm not sure, but I'm gonna check that out. Thank you. Michael Hancock, we see that you're back. And so within the last question, when people were answering about the golf tournament, we talked about corporate sponsorships and getting members engaged and things. The question for you is, I had it. Oh, what types of corporate and or foundation sponsorships have you been able to secure for organizations you are affiliated with? And who do you plan to pursue as a member of the Board of Trustees?
So I've had the ability to reach out to a number of entities that I am affiliated with, and they have made donations to Lincoln University since I've been on the board. They continue to make those donations every year since I've been on the board. So that's separate and apart from my own personal donations. So I reach out to my network and they contribute. And that's been a part of my additional give, because I believe that you either give, you either get the money or you get off the board.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you tell us about any corporate sponsorships? Did that answer that question?
Yes. So I said various entities that I have dealt with that have been able to give to the board directly. And so I provide them the link. I tell them we need a donation, and here's the area that I'd like for you to donate so that those funds can be utilized for our students directly.
Gotcha. Eric, you're up. You ready? How will you leverage the strategic work and growth from the previous administration, and what will you do differently?
So how will I leverage the strategic work and growth of the previous administration, and what will I do differently? Being a part of the executive committee, I think I have a integral knowledge of a variety of initiatives. And so the ones that are definitely effective, I would want to continue. But I will say this, the work cannot be done by one person alone. So this is a membership organization, and we do need people to assist with that work. I've already started working and communicating with individuals about their desire to lead in various areas. What will I do differently? The current administration does not or is not working with an MOU or under a memorandum of understanding. Hopefully the new administration will be. So what will I do differently? I will be very strategic and make sure that all of the AALU's work is aligned to that MOU. in my opinion, the MOU becomes our guidepost. That becomes our North Star. That's what we're working toward, and that's what we should be doing. Everything that we do should be aligned to the MOU. So again, I will continue the efforts that have started, provided that we definitely have the members and people to help get that work done in support of the university. And I will move forward with the MOU that will hopefully be signed, sealed, and delivered prior to this administration taking place on July 1.
Thank you. Okay, Rita, again, you've been in the position for quite some time. What specific financial function or process within AALU as treasurer requires the most significant improvement, and what concrete steps will you take to implement this change?
I would say our SOPs need to be reevaluated and updated. And as far as steps to improve them, I'm looking to recruit additional people onto the finance committee. Don't get me wrong, our current finance committee is outstanding because it's how we actually were able to have a outside audit and pass. However, I think it's time we need new ideas, especially for people, you know, who have not been involved with the association. And I think the new ideas will help enhance and improve.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Did I interrupt you, or you had more to say?
No, I was
Put the
done.
career in that. You said it with your chest.
Oh.
Okay, Robin. Communicating is so important. Can you explain the ways that you plan to consistently communicate with alumni, and how will the new technologies impact your role as secretary?
Technology is going to be very important. Being able to exploit certainly social media, which touch so many people, and just really can push messages beyond just current membership, but to those who we see as potential, our future members. So being able to exploit all the social media platforms, looking at volunteer platforms, fully understanding what we already have in terms of establishing skills banks and using the platforms that we have, understanding all the features of the Google Sheets to establish that volunteer bank, to establish the skills bank, and just communicating and allowing people to participate in identifying their passion in terms of communicating the calendar for the organization as well as the university, and allowing people to identify their passion and where they fit in. What is their one and done? For some people, they don't want to necessarily participate on all of the committees, or maybe they don't want to hold an office, but there may be one particular activity that we communicate through a calendar on a regular basis that they are passionate about. Student move-in. They may be passionate about the golf tournament. What is their one and done? Where can you lend your time, and your talent? So making sure that we have utilized the tools to develop those volunteer networks, document the skills bank, communicate widely, exploiting social media, making sure that we have accurate records, directories, communicating widely with the local chapters, recording, corresponding, secretary to ensure that we have up-to-date information about our current membership and those who are potential members is going to be very important and something that I would engage.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so in a previous question, we heard what the president has in plan for both VP candidates, not necessarily a winner or a loser, but how to position them so that everybody works together. The question now is for the two vice presidential candidates. If you are not selected for the vice presidency position, how do you plan to support AALU-PA and contribute to its mission actively? Let's do Derek first and then Bilal.
Yes, so if I am unsuccessful, wherever the president needs me, I will actually support his requests as best that I can. My background with the AALU has been with membership, so I would more than happily support him in continuously trying to develop or improve our numbers by way of membership. I think that is the foundation of our organization, that we really need to continuously increase our membership overall, whether it's life members or just members in general. And I think once we get that done through various avenues, that's where I think I can help, whether I'm the vice president or serving as the membership chair or members on the membership committee. But that's where I think I can actually help if I'm unsuccessful in my quest to be the next vice president.
Thank you. Bilal, if you're not selected for the vice president position, how do you plan to support AALU-PA and contribute to its mission actively?
Yes, I will continue to support whatever good platforms and ideas and strategies that the executive board puts forth by showing monetary support, showing up and supporting them, giving them feedback, any ideas that I may have and that they could possibly consider as an executive board, and also the Young Alumni Council. I think that that's an area where my expertise can also be of benefit to the Young Alumni Council, to bring that up to par, to engage our young alums more in joining the National AAU as new members of the organization and being contributing members of the organization. And lastly, I will continue my efforts here in New York. New York is a chapter that's dear to me, and I will continue to be supporting of its executive board, and whatever National AAU has in store as of good and of benefit, and the ideas that they have coming out, we'll continue to share and be that link to make sure the chapter is aware and make sure that we're on par in supporting this executive board and what they have in store.
Thank you. Okay, I'm just going to stay with these two gentlemen for now, because you both said similar things that line up with the next set of questions. However, the question I will ask to everyone, I'm just going to start with Derek and Bilal, because you both talked about membership in your quest to support the president, right? So the question is, how do you plan on increasing membership? Meaning, what is your strategic plan that you've thought of, in this? And what membership approaches will you use to engage the next generation of alum to join AALU? So specifically the young alumni, so that they'll stay and donate money. So the question is, because I'm combining like 5 questions here, how do you plan on increasing membership, your strategic plan? What membership approaches will you use to engage specifically the young alumni so that they'll stay and be involved and donate. I'm going to let you do that one first, Bilal, and then Derek.
A couple of ideas in the stratagem. One is bringing the National AALU to every city that we have a local chapter at that's active right now, and hosting events, mixers, happy hours, just to engage, to introduce the executive board to the National AALU by partnering with the local chapter. I think the local chapters are the bread and butter in terms of the feet on the ground, and they most importantly need to be engaged when it talks about National AALU membership. Secondly, the idea of the Young Alumni Council. The Young Alumni Council is the bread and butter in terms of engaging the young alums. And I think by introducing a concept that I have is the 40 under 40, we should do a fundraiser. Another fundraising idea is the 40 under 40, acknowledging that we have young alums also in the field who've done marvelous work right now in every field of endeavor, and that we should honor them and we should raise funds for the National AALU and also raise membership, and that would be a way to increase our membership. And also looking for ways of increasing our service-based projects. One of the service-based project idea that I had to want to introduce as a concept is a National Lion Day of Service, to engage the local chapters in the Day of Service projects throughout the month that can, again, introduce the alums to the local chapters and also to national. I think it's a two-way street in terms of the relationship that we have, but it starts with reaching out and reaching out to our existing membership and reaching out to our friends and our classmates in our years.
Thank you. Derek, do you need me to repeat the question or are you ready?
Yes, please repeat the question.
Okay. So you both talked about membership. We would like to hear, how do you plan on increasing membership, meaning your strategic plan? And then what membership approaches will you use to engage specifically the next generation of alum to join the AALU so that they will stay and continue to donate money to the school consistently?
Okay, thank you for the question. I think it's important for us to understand why alums want to join the AALU. And I think I discussed this earlier in terms of just sharing with the alums our successes, so they understand what we're doing and they can appreciate what we're all about and what we can do. Specifically, in addressing some of the efforts to bring in some younger alums, is I know we offer them 1 year free dues. We don't charge them dues for 1 year. We should actually explore increasing that, whether it's 2 years or 3 years. We can have a discussion about that. And on sharing with some of the things that I think we can actually do is just working with the local chapters with having a database of careers that each member of those chapters are actually involved in, whether it's insurance or education, because really to get younger people involved, it has to really be attractive to them. So whatever career that they're in or they want to actually pursue, if we have alums that are able to introduce them into those careers or serve as mentors in their careers, I think that's the way you get them, because they're trying to get their careers underway, and in order to get their attention is to help them get their career started, and not have that I don't want to say burden, but the additional cost of having to pay for membership. So those are some of the immediate ideas that I think that we can execute immediately and be successful at it. And it's I don't want to say an easy lift, but it's something that we can organize and get done relatively easy if we can get the buy-in of all the local chapters to do that. And I'm willing to make sure that we get that underway on a national level.
Good stuff. Again, I'm going to piggyback off of the responses that we've received. This question now is for Eric. Both gentlemen have indicated that they have a strategic plan to increase alumni giving and young support. And both of them said something about the alumni chapters. Our question to you is, how would you engage your alumni chapters during this administration?
The first thing I want to do to engage the alumni chapters, I think is very critical for me to be directly connected with the presidents of those alumni chapters. So you heard me earlier talk about a president's reception. I also want to have a president's council, right? And that's where me and the other presidents, because your role is very much like mine as a president, how do we collaborate and what is the focus? I want to take that MOU and then begin to align our work and what we do through the AALU and through our local chapters. I also think it's very, very important for the national AALU to support local events. So we have Frank Tick Coleman. I believe New York has jazz awards. I believe Virginia does something by Hampton Roads. So you have all of these chapters that are having different events. How do we collaborate and come together to support each other's events for the betterment of Lincoln University? So what would I would do? There would be a president's council or round table where we work together, collaborate. Secondly, we would actually strategize on how do we implement what's in the MOU. Excuse me. How do we implement what's in the MOU collaboratively with all of us understanding what are our specific roles? The AALU can have a role, Baltimore can have a role, Philly can have a role. How do we utilize the strengths and the skills that we all have to move the organization forward? That would be my approach.
That sounded like work for New York. That's all I heard, but thank you for that.
Not at all. We're going to collaborate. We're going to collaborate together, Madam.
Sound like, Renee, you gotta get on meetings. That's what I heard. But thank you for your response. Okay. Mike, we need to hear another voice, and then I'm gonna go to the ladies just to break it up. Trustee Hancock, you still with us?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, awesome. What one thing would you do differently in this new term to enhance the board that you didn't get to accomplish in your past term?
Oh, God.
One thing, Mike, you 3 minutes.
One thing that I'd like to do in this new board is change the philosophy of chairmanship for committees. I think there's a stalemate of how committee chairs operate. And it sometimes is very ineffective. So that would be the one thing that I'd like to do differently.
Okay, that's what you would do differently. Okay. Thank you. You didn't take the whole 3 minutes I needed to get my next question together. Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Rita.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I had a really good question here. I think I might have asked it about something about, it was a priority question. So it was, what do you consider, here it is, in your treasury, what do you consider to be the primary concern or priority? And you may have already answered this, but I'm asking it again. What do you consider to be the primary concern or priority that you have that should be addressed sooner than later? And it doesn't necessarily have to be specific to the role that you're seeking. It's really a general question for you.
Actually, the primary concern I have is to at least know who the incoming treasurers are, because my understanding is that every chapter does not have their elections during the same time period. So I would actually like to come up with a systematic way of the chapters notifying National Alumni Association of the new officers of the chapter. So that way, when, as you know, each year passes, I don't have to wonder who it is or reach out to the last person I knew, but I find out that they're no longer in that role. So I think if came up with a systematic way that the chapters would notify us of their new officers, treasurers, including, all the others, then it would be an easier way for us to communicate with the chapters without having to search around for the right person to talk to.
Thank you. Okay, Robin. Commitment. Is it for the moment or a lifetime? If elected, can we count on your engagement as an authentic member of this team? And I know, that's not, clearly the person that wrote this wasn't a teacher, because that's a yes or no question. So I'm going to use my retired teacher skills and add on how.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm tickling myself. We've been on here for a long time now, so it might get silly as the time goes.
Repeat that so I can identify the question in that, please.
The question is, commitment. Is it for the moment or a lifetime? If elected, can we count on your engagement as an authentic member of this team, and how?
Well, when I make a commitment to be a part of a team, it's always authentic because I bring my truth, I bring my authentic self. I don't show up as anyone else except for who I am, with the skills that I offer and the talent and the time that I commit to devote to it. So not for the moment, but yes, for the lifetime, honoring those who have paved the way for me, those who have graduated from Lincoln in my own very family, which there have been several. And also, I don't know any other way but to dedicate myself for a lifetime, as I have been doing in service from a child, scouting, sitting on multiple boards, the Coalition of 100 Black Women, being an engaged member of my sorority, holding office in while I was on campus, SGA, as well as being the president of the undergrad chapter. In my current vocation work role, going beyond just what I'm required to do as a manager and a training manager, but also being an official mentor to many, ensuring that I develop skills, ensuring that I help people in terms of enhancing their careers, identify areas for improvement. Those are some of the areas where I have committed over the course of a lifetime, in addition to being a mother, rearing children, not just my children, but reaching out and rearing up, mentoring on Lincoln's campus, one from the New York chapter, who I have followed from the time she was a freshman, treated as if she were my very own daughter, and through her graduation and postgraduate studies, any career opportunities. So not just for the moment, but certainly a lifetime of commitment for me.
Thank you, Robin. I had no idea you were on the SGA. And we graduated at the same time. So one of us either, you know, didn't make it known or the other one wasn't paying attention. I don't know what was happening. Thank you for your response. Who haven't we heard from? Eric. You know, you're at the helm of this thing, right? What's your approach to success, which we heard a little bit, but you know, humor us with a little bit more. What is your approach to succession planning within AALU, and what steps will you take to ensure leadership continuity and long-term organizational stability? Yeah, that's a really good question. Whoever sent that in, thank you for that. We read your question. Let me say it again, because that was a lot of words. What is your approach to succession planning within AALU, and what steps will you take to ensure leadership continuity and long-term organizational stability?
You're welcome, Renee.
Oh, I didn't even know. That was an anonymous question. Yeah, that's a good question. I'm glad I asked. You got it?
Yes, I was just writing some things down to make sure I didn't miss anything. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
So I would say my approach to succession planning is first, within a certain amount of time, identifying individuals who may want to continue to be a leader in an organization or in this organization. I think it becomes incumbent upon me to work with them and show them as I'm doing the work, so that if Eric is not there, the work can still continue. Because again, it can't be about one person. So that is my approach to succession planning. Some of the steps I would take: one is, as I said, identify the individual. Two, make sure that we are definitely training and giving that person the opportunity to lead, because everyone will know that I'm the president. I don't need to wear a shirt that says I'm the president. They know that. So allow other people to also lead and guide the organization. And sometimes I can be in the background pushing them, making sure that we're continuing to move the organization forward. How do I make sure that things are continuing to move? I believe that, as I am trying to do now with the current administration, is making sure that there is a concrete way of capturing the data, making sure that our records are in alignment so that we can continue to move the organization forward, excuse me, seamlessly. So that is my approach to ensuring that the organization continues to move forward, as well as succession planning.
Thank you. And so, if you're not there, it's the vice president typically who can step in. So I'm going to piggyback off of his response and ask this next question to Bilal and Derek. What is your long-term vision for the AALU, and what key initiatives would you prioritize? Your long-term vision and the key initiatives that you would prioritize. And I feel like you've answered it already, but we'll hear it again briefly. Derek?
Long-term vision is to make sure that the AALU can sustain itself. We have to continuously refine ourselves, not remake ourselves, but refine what we do. We could do some of the same things, but we just have to do them differently and approach them differently. I think one of the key things for some of the students that are currently at Lincoln or recently left Lincoln, and it's been in the news. We just got to make sure that, you know, our kids, our students, our fellow alums are financially literate. so they know when they're coming out of school that they, you know, if they're getting their first car, their first apartment, that, you know, that they properly insured, and, you know, how do you finance those things? Because either we introduce a course on that, or we have a seminar on that for the students coming out. So that's really one of my goals, long-term goals, to make sure that we continuously do those things from a literacy standpoint for those students immediately graduating, or about to graduate, or the immediate graduates, and some who've been working for a little bit may need some assistance in that regard. So those are the type of things that I'm looking at and considering, and just want to present as long-term goals. And maybe we can work with the university and literally expand that as to a course that we can actually have introduced to our senior seminar course that we can have introduced on the campus or with the university. And so those are some of my long-term goals. And also, I know we use wild apricot, but I think in order to also attract some younger alums and make things more convenient for us, that we explore having a AALU app that we can actually develop and work with some alums who have their own apps. So I think something like that can be very beneficial in the long term.
Thank you.
Hello, excuse me.
Is this Jake Lake?
My name is Jake Lake. I'm from Massachusetts, and I'm against niggers. I hate niggers. Fuck you. Fuck you, nigger.
Okie dokie.
Get him out of here.
No wonder. Okay.
That's weird.
It was weird.
Unfortunately, it happened before. We've been hacked. So when they come on, just delete them out and we keep going. They don't run anything or control anything. And we're not scared.
That's right.
So
Say it again.
So this person has been removed from the meeting. However, just as a precaution, please be advised, everyone. I understand the moderator is coming toward the end of the questions. We will not be taking questions from a hand raise. No one will be able to, if you are a moderator, please do not let anyone in fact, I think what I'm going to do is mute everyone, and then we're going to have to unmute the speakers. That will be the only way to prevent something like that from happening again. So if you guys will just bear with me, I'm going to mute everyone.
This is Darren Davis, class of 2000.
Okay, if you are a co-host, which means if you're on the committee, you can unmute yourself. And if you are a candidate, I'm going to, if the other co-host could only for the candidates, if you ask them to unmute, they will be allowed to unmute. They won't otherwise be able to unmute themselves.
Okay. And Darren, what we're going to ask you to do is to put your question into the chat. I'm almost at the end of the questions that we've already received from the registration, and then we'll ask your question at the end. I promise we're not going to be here till 4. Okay.
And, Madam Moderator, one thing, Trustee Hancock, I know you're driving. We want you to be safe, but you will need to unmute yourself as we ask you to. So I'm going to hit ask to unmute. And if you could just unmute yourself and maybe stay unmuted, because otherwise we won't be able to hear from you.
Okay. So, okay, Derek answered, Bilal did not get a chance. The question was, what is your long-term vision for the AALU, and what key initiatives would you prioritize?
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Mintz, for the question. is definitely increasing membership for certain, as this is a membership-based organization. And one of the key initiatives I'd like to focus on or consider is what I've mentioned before about the affinity groups, engaging all alums in their interests. That is a way that we can attract people who have other interests within Lincoln. That way we can market the National AALU to them to join as members, and perhaps from that to join committees and join and eventually hopefully one from board positions in the foreseeable future. Also, a plan and something I've been campaigning on is to establish a national mentoring program, an official national AALU mentoring program, upon which, again, alums get paired up to, with students, with recent graduates who graduate from the university who need some career guidance after Lincoln. Another avenue that I think we need to explore as well in our long term is just increasing our strategic partnerships with high schools. I've talked to several high schools here in New York City. It was a project that part of the strategic plan of Dr. Hamilton Raymond to increase the Black male student population on Lincoln, which is low. There's several schools here in New York City, specifically Eagle Academy of New York City and Newark, New Jersey, that would be interested in partnering with Lincoln and his emissions, but we would have to see again what happens with the MOU, because that will dictate how we function within the parameters of Lincoln University as the national AALU and what they need and how we can assist them. But those are ways we can increase our Black male student enrollment, if we can attract more alums to the organization through the affinity groups, and also to lastly, to make sure the Young Alumni Council is strong as well, to continue to run its activities and partner with them, and that make sure that they're successful so we can attract young alums as well.
Okay, thank you. Okay, just so that we're not redundant and that we've done everything, we've just as a wrap up, right? We've touched on you've given your background experience, what makes you uniquely qualified. You've talked about alumni participation. You've given us some ideas about what your action plans are for increasing membership and alumni giving. You've talked about fundraising, so we really have touched on all of the points. But I do have one closing question for everyone, and I'm going to do them in alphabetical order by your first name. So the first person is going to be Bilal, so that gives the team time to know who's going to go next so that you can ask them to unmute. Bilal, define inclusive as it relates to AALU.
Inclusive includes and to me means everyone, means all class years, all interests, all of those who have specific interests, all of those, just all alumni in general, and being engaged in the process of building up the national AALU. So it doesn't matter, your affiliation to a fraternity or sorority, or if you're in the laser program or another program, everyone needs to be engaged. So inclusivity means for me, everyone is an engaged stakeholder.
Okay, thank you. After B comes D. Derek?
Yes, so I would agree with what Bilal indicated. It is all classes, all majors, male, female, all ethnicities, just making sure that all thought processes are actually included. It is inclusivity, just making sure that everyone has the opportunity to be represented and have a voice. That's how I view that particular question.
Thank you. Dr. B. Coates?
Inclusive. Being inclusive is a process by which I firmly believe that we, as the organization, will provide information and data to all, and all is capitalized. regardless of class, social status, ideologies, or beliefs, as long as it is for the furtherance of the AALU.
The furtherance. Michael Hancock?
So Renee, this was Michael Hancock's question.
Was it?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, I'm glad I asked it because there you go.
And I define being inclusive is to include everyone, to ensure that everyone's voice is heard, to incorporate visions, even though it may or may not be your idea, to ensure that you include the embodiment of all, inclusive. And thank you for asking my question.
Because you answered with your whole chest from the
Yes.
car. Thank you. M, after M is R, so we're going to go RI. Rita?
Wow, I have to go after Mike. Great. Inclusivity, I define it as allowing everyone to have equal access or equal saying in decisions that are being made, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. No one should be excluded. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then Robin.
Sure, thank you. A broad orientation, a broad scope of ideas, of backgrounds, of talents, including all opportunities to access resources, to be heard, to contribute ideas, to be understood as a valued contributor. And no matter the affinity, no matter who you are associated with, your friend group, your organization, just broaden that whole scope and ensure that everyone understands that this membership-driven organization is for all.
Nice. Okay, well, listen to this. I do have one more question. If you can see my papers, I've crossed, well, you can't because of my background, but I've crossed out everything except for this one question that I was, playing around with, should I ask it or not? And I'm going to let this one be the closeout because your responses regarding inclusive and fairness and standards. So here's the question. Those of you that are participating may or may not know that one of our candidates was removed from the ballot because of one reason or another, right? So the question that came through was, and I'm going to ask this for everybody, we will do alphabetical order by last name team for the purpose of asking them to unmute. So that means Dr. B. Coach, you'll go first. Here's the question. How will you prohibit AALU members from being removed from a committee by the AALU? In your response, please address equality and fairness, and should AALU officers be held to the same high standard? So how will you prohibit AALU members from being removed from a committee by the AALU? The executive board had to make a decision to remove somebody. Can you address equality and fairness within the organization, thinking of how you responded about inclusivity, and should the officers adhere to the same high standards? Does that make sense? What I'm saying? Everybody understand the question?
Yes. So I'm going to start with,
Rico.
I'm going to start with your last question. Should officers adhere to the same standard? Emphatically, yes. I believe that officers should be operating at a higher standard from my perspective, because we're the leaders of the organization. Now, to go to your next question, how will you prohibit individuals from being removed? I think we have to follow the bylaws. That is the guiding or the guidepost of how we operate. I also think, though, that if you're following the bylaws and if there is an exception or if there is a wish to do something different, I believe that that has to be taken to the executive body, and there needs to be a decision that is made collaboratively and collectively by the executive committee. I think equality and fairness is a must. It's not something that we can waver on. And I don't think these decisions can be made in isolation by one person. It has to be by the executive council because that is the governing body in addition to the council making these types of decisions. So that is my position in reference to that question.
Thank you. H-I-J-K-H. H-A-Y-H-A-N. Hancock, you're next.
From the second part of the question, I do believe that officers have to be held at the same level, that there is no wavering just because you are an officer. And then I do believe that from the first part of the question about ensuring that people are being included, and I think that you got to include people. I think that you also, if they've done nothing egregious, then you've got to ensure that they are part of the listening body, that if they're on a committee and that they're operating under the guidelines of the committee, then they should be included in the committee, regardless of if they have a different opinion than which you have. That's why everyone has an opinion, and everyone's opinion should be valid, so I think you have to include them.
Okay, thank you. H-A-Y, Hales. Robin.
Thank you. We want to ensure that we operate in alignment with our bylaws, our governing policies. I always say to my trainees, to my employees, it is policy over preference. That is very important in my line of work, and I will apply that standard as you ask and present this question to my role and to the way I operate in the AALU. Policy over preference. We have bylaws that can be amended. We have Robert's Rules of Order as we govern ourselves in discussing issues in meetings. And when it's silent, we have an executive council, we have an executive committee and an executive council to discuss, and if we need to, bring issues before the general body. So I definitely believe that all officers are held to a high standard, a standard that we should be above reproach and setting an example. So always operating in fairness and in decency and order, but also aligning with our bylaws, our governing documents, which will include the MOU.
Thank you. H-A-H-I-J-K, Key, Hassan Key.
Thank you, Ms. Mintz. All is invited as long as all respect the space. And indifference is not a means to remove somebody if we have a difference of opinion. But if there's a violation of what governs this organization, which is its bylaws, then that needs to be held accountable. We need to go by the bylaws and hold whatever person accountable for his or her actions. That is the governing body, and those bylaws need to be reviewed and need to be amended. and there's a system in place to do that, to do those things. So there's checks and balances, and there's no favoritism over anyone. It's just fair for all across the board. But we have to go by the bylaws and the parliamentary procedure of how to run this organization. In terms of the board being holding to a standard, I mean, we're in positions of leadership, so yes, I emphatically believe that we are held to a high standard because we are running for these positions of leadership, and we have to make sure we are out front. The people see us, so we need to be the best representation that we can be of Lincoln as much as we can.
Thank you. MA is going to be Madison.
Yes, thank you for the question. I would agree that the leaders of any organization, specifically the AALU, should be held to a higher standard. You shouldn't hold office if you can't, if you're not meeting that standard. As far as the process of removing someone from the organization or from a chair position or any position, yeah, we are governed by, we have governing papers that we want to make sure that we abide by, you know, whether it's the bylaws or any enhancements to the bylaws that need to be made can be made, but we should be holding everybody to that standard, regardless of who they are, just making sure that we're moving the organization forward, because that's how we lose members when we're not holding people accountable, or if we just trying to remove them, you know, without cause. We just got to make sure that there is cause if you're removing somebody, and we just got to make sure that we're holding everyone to the same standard, and the officers to a higher standard. That is my belief, and that's how I've always operated. And I think that's how we should move forward with respects to removing any member from the organization.
Thank you. And Rita.
Yes, I'd like to echo what has been said before me. I definitely agree that officers should adhere to a higher standard. As far as the removal of an individual, I think we should follow the bylaws to the T, and also remember that we cannot apply any of our personal feelings or beliefs. And also remember that when it's all said and done, we all have a love for Lincoln, and we need to respect one another's feelings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, this, ends the question and answer portion. I've pretty much combined, and you've answered about 30 questions in 5 very important categories. I'd like for you to take the last 90 seconds, because I looked at the time and saw I should have been finished 8 minutes ago, to give us your final closing oomph statement that's going to leave an indelible, I have big words too, indelible mark on our brains as we close out this Saturday afternoon and start preparing for the game tomorrow, right? That's next on the agenda. So the order, just for the tech team, I'm gonna go in the original order that I started, which is gonna be B Coates, Key, Madison, Hales, McCaskill, and then we'll close it out with Mike. Your closing remarks that you would like to just say before we close out, and then our committee chairperson will get on and give you further instructions afterwards. Sounds good? Yeah, because y'all are tired. It's been like 2, 3 hours. This is a lot for a Saturday. Aren't you glad we didn't go to Lincoln and that we're home and it's going to be over in a few short seconds? Big Coats, you're up first. Your closing indelible, if you will, if I'm using the word correctly, statement that you want us to know about you.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity this afternoon to present my ideas, my thoughts about optimizing the experiences for our membership, as well as building an inclusive and an engaging, empowered network of members and of alum. And I am committed to ensuring that all of the AALU resources are used effectively. This slate of excellence that you see before you with the LUV, and that means love, that we have for Lincoln, is about the business of making sure that we get it done in alignment with the memorandum of understanding that should be, and I'm hopefully will be, executed before the July 1 date. So I'm asking that when you exercise your right to vote, that you consider a team of individuals who are going to operate with integrity, inclusivity, and transparency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bilal?
No, thank you, Ms. Mintz. Thank you, Lincoln Alumni family, for lending an ear. Really appreciate the opportunity and the time spent today with you all. Your vote for me is a voice for alumni, a champion for students, and a leader for change. You're voting for someone who has been trusted, someone who has executive experience as a former president, somebody who cares about the student body, someone who advocates for alums, somebody who will carry the mantle forward for Lincoln University in the position of vice president, who would adhere to the bylaws, who would adhere to the MOU of understanding, and would continue to build off of what we have successful with the previous administration, and build forward to engage all alumni in the business of Lincoln University, to make it better, to make it #1 on the rankings, and also to engage all our first-time voters or first-time alums in the process of making an impact on Lincoln University. Thank you for your time.
Derek?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Thank you, LU family, for the opportunity to present to you guys today. It indeed was a pleasure to spend this afternoon with you guys. Please know that my platform is all about you as alums and our future alums. All I want to do is help move the AALU forward by using my corporate experience in insurance and my civic experiences belonging to a fraternity that deals with young people all the time, making sure that we're able to recruit and maintain members of our organization going forward, and just building on a legacy that is unmatched. I think Lincoln and the AALU, that partnership can move this organization so far, but we do have to remove some obstacles and just make sure that we're all in unison with one another. And if nothing else, please consider voting for me as your next VP to help move this organization forward. And again, thank you for your time. God bless you all. And safe journeys home for those who are still traveling.
Thank you so much. Robin?
So thank you for this opportunity. As I indicated earlier, I want to facilitate accurate and regular communication to increase membership, including engagement. I want to make sure that there's a broad scope. Our reach is broad. across classes, across affiliations, to again ensure that everyone understands the strength of this network, the collective strength of giving and support of the university, the opportunities for volunteering, the professional development, career development opportunities from belonging to this type of association, and the opportunities to strengthen and enhance those that are still matriculating at Lincoln University. Thank you for supporting not just my position, my candidacy, but I ask that you support the 2025 slate of excellence, again, which seeks to optimize the experience of alumni membership, build an inclusive, engaged, empowered volunteer network, and ensure stewardship of AALU resources. Thank you.
Thank you. Rita?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I want to thank everyone for spending this afternoon with us, going through, the various different questions and listening to the background experience of each and every one of the individuals here. And I hope that my 25 plus years of government service, to include my 22 years of military experience as a paralegal, will actually help make your choice easy in selecting individuals for the roles that we are all running for. Ultimately, my goal is to still be involved with the AALU, whether I'm in a position or not. I intend to always be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rita. And Trustee Hancock. Big boy.
Moderate. I actually have to say it truly has been a labor of love. For the journey of the last 5 years, where I started out saying that transparency, integrity, dedication, and engagement have truly been the things that I've been able to bring forth for the board in serving the AALU and ensuring that we have some concrete steps to move forward. So I'd like to say thank you for this opportunity first and foremost. And thank you again for giving me an opportunity to serve on the board for the next 4 years. This has been a great opportunity to listen to all of the candidates, to hear their trajectory. And I'd like to say thank you once again.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody for all that you brought to the table today. I'm ready to now pass it back to Bonnie Bowser. Thank you to the tech team as well for having everybody on screen and doing what it is that you do behind the scenes. Nobody ever recognizes the tech team. Thank you, everybody.
Thank
I got to
you,
drop.
Renee, for your fantastic job of moderating this forum. Thank you to all the attendees for signing on and not find it robbery to listen to candidates that are running for important positions in our organization. I like to thank the tech team for their support, considering we decided to do this last night. Lincoln people are always ready and able to do what needs to be done when it's time. So I want to thank the team for taking care of the technology portion of it. Madam President of the AALUPA, thank you, Sharice, Miriam, and Lisa, and anyone else who was able to jump in at the last minute to help us bring this forum to you. as we promised for this day, as opposed to being in person, we were able to do it virtually. I'd like to thank the candidates for the time you have spent with us, alumni giving us your vision for the future. I'd like to thank my magnificent committee, Kim Blaney Bivens, Pat Jacobs, Vaughn Coleman, and the moderator, Renee Mintz, for your support and putting together this forum. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And now I just want to give some dates that we need to be mindful of. Today was the forum. The next date that is important in the process of this election is the ballots. Paper ballots will be mailed out on February 21st. For those who do not have email or a telephone number, a cell phone number to receive their ballot. The live voting will start on February 24th. Everyone will receive their ballot via email and text message, but you can only vote through one resource. So you can try to do both, but you can't. You can only vote through one. It'll only accept one of them. And then as of March 11th, we will be posting the last day for postmarked ballots to come in, and then we will have the voting end on March 15th at noon. So if you have not registered to be a member, it's too late now because you needed to have become a member by January 31st in order to vote in this election. But we will take your registration to be a member at any time. So on that note, I would like to say thank you again to all who have participated, and have a wonderful evening and enjoy the Super Bowl tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, Madam Chair. Job well done, team. Thank you.
Good night.